Listen, I need you to hear this because if you don't, you're going to waste the next 10 years of your life. The harsh reality about chasing money is simple. If money is the only thing driving you, you've already lost. You might get some, sure, but you'll never be fulfilled, and that emptiness will crush you. Everybody's so obsessed with flexing their income, their car, their watch, but here's the truth. Money is a byproduct, not the main product. If you chase it, you'll keep running forever. If you chase the process, the skills, the passion, the money comes to you. Here's the truth that nobody wants to admit because it doesn't sound sexy. Money is a byproduct, not the product. You've been told since day one to chase the bag, to hustle only for the paycheck, to measure success by what's sitting in your account. But here's the harsh reality. When money is your North Star, you're always going to feel lost. Why? Because money doesn't create meaning. It doesn't build fulfillment. It doesn't give you legacy. Money comes when you actually provide value, when you actually care about what you're doing, and when you're building something that matters. And the second you flip your mindset from how do I get paid to how do I actually solve something, serve someone, or create impact, that's when you start winning. Think about it. How many people do you know who chase jobs they hate, businesses they don't care about just because of the paycheck? They burn out. They resent their own lives. They're miserable 6 figures deep. And then they wonder why Monday feels like death every single week. The reason is simple. Money alone doesn't sustain you. When the only reason you're working is the dollar, your tank runs empty real fast. But when you're driven by passion, by curiosity, by the thrill of actually loving the process, you don't even notice the hours. You outwork everyone, not because you're forced to, but because you wanna. That's the real game. And listen, this isn't me saying money doesn't matter. Of course it does. We live in a world where rents do, bills exist, and food isn't free. But the hack is this: when you focus on building skills, providing insane value, and chasing fulfillment, the money follows naturally. It's a shadow of the work. People confuse cause and effect. They think money is the cause and happiness is the effect. Wrong. Fulfillment is the cause, money is the effect. If you're good enough at what you do, if you bring real value, the market pays you. That's how capitalism works. You've got to understand that chasing money is like chasing a mirage. You'll keep running and running, thinking the next number is where peace lives. But once you get there, you realize it wasn't enough. That's why millionaires feel broke, billionaires feel empty. And people who thought a raise would fix their life are still miserable. The dollar figure doesn't fix your insides. But when you flip it, when you wake up excited because you actually love what you're doing, that's where the energy lives. That's when you build momentum so strong, people can't ignore you. That's when money chases you instead of you chasing it. And the crazy part, the world notices passion. Customers, bosses, clients, fans, they can smell authenticity. When you're obsessed with money, you reek of desperation. But when you're obsessed with the craft, with the work, with actually bringing value, people are drawn to it. That's why the ones who play the game differently, the ones who focus on impact, end up being the wealthiest in the long term, not just financially, but in happiness, freedom, and peace of mind. So here's the hook. Stop asking, how do I get rich quick? And start asking, how do I get good? Because good gets rewarded. Stop saying, I need more money, and start saying, I need more skills, more discipline, more consistency, because those are the things that print money forever. Anybody can get lucky with a quick check, but only the ones who build themselves, who play for passion and value, can sustain it for decades. That's the difference between being rich for a moment and being wealthy for life. Do you want me to expand key point 2 in the exact same style next? The harsh reality is that money is the loudest mask for insecurity. People chase money because deep down, they think it's going to fix how they feel about themselves. They think the watch, the car, the designer clothes, the house are going to silence the voice in their head that says they're not enough. But the truth is, money doesn't erase insecurity. It amplifies it. If you're unhappy broke, you'll be miserable rich. If you feel empty now, more zeros in your account will just make the emptiness echo louder. And yet, so many people are blind to this because they've been conditioned to believe the lie that success equals cash stacked in the bank. That's why so many people wake up one day with the dream life on paper, but no actual joy in their chest. You've got to understand the flex culture is built on fear. People are flexing on Instagram not because they're fulfilled, but because they're desperate for validation. They want the world to think they're winning because inside they know they're not. The rented car, the leased watch, the staged photo. That's not abundance, that's insecurity with a filter. And if you're playing that game, you're already losing because the more you chase approval through material wins, the less you're building the one thing that really matters, peace with yourself. Here's the real flex in 2025, sleeping at night without anxiety, waking up excited for what you do, not needing to buy something just to feel worthy. That's wealth. That's freedom. And look, I'm not demonizing money. I'm demonizing the illusion that money can heal your wounds. It can't. If you hate yourself, no paycheck, no promotion, no windfall will magically rewrite that script. You've got to do the internal work. You've got to find fulfillment in the process, not the payout. Because if money is your only scoreboard, you'll never feel like you've won. There will always be someone with more. Always, you think you're winning because you hit 6 figures. Someone else just hit 7, you hit 7. Someone's sitting on 9. It never ends. That's why money as your fuel is a trap. It guarantees you'll always feel behind. Here's the hook. The real currency isn't dollars. It's happiness. It's peace of mind. It's freedom of choice. Money without those things is just paper. And that's why you see so many wealthy people broken inside, addicted, depressed, alone, because they spent their entire lives chasing the bag. Instead of chasing fulfillment, they didn't realize that the game isn't about stacking dollars. It's about stacking joy, stacking love, stacking moments that make life worth living. When you get that, money becomes a tool, not a trophy. What I want you to hear is this: stop tying your self-worth to your net worth. That's the poison. Your value as a human has nothing to do with the number in your bank account. Once you stop equating those two things, you start to live, because now you're free to actually build, actually create, actually take risks. When you're not obsessed with keeping up appearances, you're free to fail. And failing is the secret ingredient to winning long term. Most people never even start because they're too scared of looking broke, of looking small, of looking less than. But here's the irony: the ones willing to look broke today are the ones who build actual wealth tomorrow. So if you want to stop being trapped in the hamster wheel of money chasing, you've got to redefine the scoreboard. Don't measure your life in cars and watches. Measure it in experiences, in energy, in love, and legacy. That's the shift that will make you unstoppable. Because when money isn't the thing you need to validate yourself, you're dangerous, you're free. And when you're free, you're willing to play the game differently than everyone else. That's when you win. Want me to expand key point 3 next in the same style? The reality about chasing money is that most people are sprinting toward a finish line that doesn't even exist. They think there's going to be some magical moment when they make it, and suddenly everything feels complete. But let me hit you with the truth. You never arrive. Money doesn't give you the satisfaction you're picturing. That constant hunger you feel, that emptiness that whispers, just a little more, then I'll feel good. That doesn't vanish with another bonus or another raise. It just shifts the target further away. And that's why so many people are burned out, frustrated, and lost, because they're chasing something that can't ever actually deliver what they want. I always tell people the chase for money is like being on a treadmill. You run harder, faster, you sweat, you suffer, but you're not going anywhere. You're in the same spot, just exhausted. That's why so many people wake up in their 30s, 40s, 50s and wonder, how did I get here? Why do I feel stuck? Because they spent their life sprinting on that treadmill, thinking the next promotion, the next client, the next dollar was going to take them somewhere. And it didn't. They were measuring progress with the wrong metrics. Here's the hook. What if instead of running in place for money, you started building a life around your passions, your strengths, the things that light you up? What if you measured progress by how much peace you feel, how much energy you wake up with, how much you love the game you're playing? Because when you do that, money stops being the master and it becomes the byproduct. And the crazy thing is, when you stop chasing money, that's when you actually open the door to making more of it. Why? Because now you're in your lane. You're doing the thing you were built for. And when you go all in on that, money follows. Too many people are living lives they hate just to fund lifestyles they don't even enjoy. They're in jobs they despise, in businesses that drain them, all because they believe the lie that they need more money to finally be free. But here's the raw truth: you don't need more, you need less. You don't need to scale up your expenses, you need to scale down your ego. You don't need the bigger car, you need a bigger perspective. And when you cut the noise and stop living for appearances, suddenly you're free to build something real. Think about how many people make decisions every single day, not from clarity, but from comparison. They're not choosing what makes them happy. They're choosing what looks impressive to other people. That's why they're miserable. That's why they're stressed. They've built their entire existence around keeping up an image. And here's the kicker. Most of the people they're trying to impress don't even care. They're too busy worrying about their own lives to think about your car or your watch. That's the trap. You're sacrificing your actual happiness for the approval of people who aren't even paying attention. The escape is simple but brutal. You've got to shift the scorecard. Stop asking, how much am I making? And start asking, am I fulfilled? Am I growing? Am I happy with the person I'm becoming? Because that's the game you can actually win. That's the game that gives you long-term energy. When you stop sprinting after money and start running toward meaning, your life changes, your anxiety drops, your confidence grows, and ironically, you put yourself in the best position to create real wealth because you're not desperate anymore. You're not reactive. You're not making short-term decisions that keep you trapped. You're building with vision, with patience, with clarity. So here's the challenge for you. Stop for a second and be honest with yourself. Are you actually chasing a life you want, or are you chasing dollar signs because you think they'll make people respect you? Because that's the moment of truth. If it's the latter, you're in chains, even if you hit the numbers. But if you flip it, if you make fulfillment the focus and let money come as a result, you unlock freedom. And freedom, not money, is the ultimate ROI. That's the mindset shift. That's the difference between people who grind forever and feel empty and the ones who play forever and feel unstoppable. Want me to go ahead and expand key point 4 in the same way too? One of the harshest realities about chasing money is that it puts you in a prison where someone else holds the keys. When you're obsessed with money above everything else, you give away your freedom without even realizing it. You let the size of your paycheck dictate your choices, your mood, your future. And what's wild is that people think they're chasing freedom when they chase money, but they're actually doing the opposite. They're building walls around themselves brick by brick. Every time they say yes to something just for the cash, every time they sacrifice their happiness for another zero on the check. That's not freedom. That's slavery dressed up as success. Here's the hook. Money is supposed to work for you, not the other way around. Yet most people spend their entire lives working for money and then wondering why they're still stressed, tired, and miserable. They've inverted the game. They think money is the end goal, but really it's just a tool. The hammer doesn't build the house, you do. And if you don't know what you're building, if you don't have a vision, the hammer's useless. That's exactly what money is like. If you're chasing it without clarity, without a real blueprint for your life, all you end up with is a pile of nails and broken boards. I see people every single day who stay in jobs they hate because the salary is too good to leave. They're miserable every Monday, drained every Friday, living only for 2 days out of the week, and they call that success. No, that's fear. That's choosing golden handcuffs over true freedom. You may have money in your account, but your soul's in debt. And here's the thing nobody wants to admit. If you're not free to walk away, if you're not free to say no, if you're not free to live life on your own terms, then you're not winning. You're trapped. And let's not sugarcoat it. Money can be intoxicating. The raise feels good. The commission feels good. That direct deposit hits and you get a little dopamine rush. But that's exactly the danger. It tricks you into thinking the chase is worth it. It lures you into settling for less than you deserve because it sprinkles in just enough reward to keep you hooked. And that's why most people never break free. They confuse comfort with freedom. They confuse a paycheck with purpose. And when you do that, you never build the life you actually want. You're just paying rent on someone else's dream. Here's the shift. When you stop chasing money, you start chasing leverage. Leverage of time, leverage of choices, leverage of energy. Because true wealth is waking up and owning your day. It's having the power to say, I'm doing this because I want to, not because I have to. That's the game. Money's part of it, yes, but only as a tool. It's the hammer, not the house. And the only way you flip the script is by aligning your work, your decisions, and your life with what actually matters to you. Not your parents, not your neighbors, not Instagram. You. Think about it. What's the point of having 6 figures in the bank if you hate the way you earned it? What's the point of making it? If you feel like you're dying inside every single day, that's not winning. That's losing disguised as winning. And the reason I'm hammering this home is because so many people are sitting there right now thinking they don't have a choice. But you do. You always do. It might mean downsizing. It might mean cutting back. It might mean walking away from comfort. But in exchange, you get freedom. And freedom is the only currency that actually matters. So here's my challenge. Flip the narrative. Don't let money own you. Own it. Don't let it decide the terms of your life. Use it as a tool, not a trap. Because when you take back control, when you start playing the game on your terms, you're not just surviving anymore. You're living. And that, my friends, is the ultimate ROI. Do you want me to push into key point 5 next with the same fire and style? The harsh truth about chasing money is that it blinds you to the long game. Most people are sprinting toward short-term gains without realizing they're running in circles. And you know what happens when you're only focused on money right now? You trade the future for crumbs. You sacrifice the marathon because you're obsessed with the next 100-meter dash. And that's why people burn out. That's why they wake up at 40, 50, 60 and wonder where their life went. They were so busy chasing quick hits of money that they never built anything that lasts. Here's the hook. Speed kills dreams when it's not matched with patience. Everyone wants the Lamborghini, the vacation house, the I made it, post on social media tomorrow. Nobody wants to grind for 10 years without applause. Nobody wants to eat dirt while they're building. And yet, that's exactly what separates the people who win from the people who stay stuck. Because here's the reality: money can come fast, but true wealth, freedom, fulfillment, legacy comes slow. And if you don't understand that, you'll keep chasing the quick bag and missing the bigger picture. I see it every day. People quit on their dreams because it didn't pay them back in 6 months. They start a business, they post content, they chase a side hustle, and when it doesn't explode instantly, they walk away. But here's the question. What did you expect? You put in half a year and thought it would change your entire life. It doesn't work that way. And that's why chasing money is dangerous. It tricks you into thinking that speed is the answer. But the truth is, patience and consistency are the answers. The short-term money looks good, but it can't carry you through the long haul. You've got to start thinking decades, not days. You've got to ask yourself, What am I building that will still matter in 2035, in 2045? Because the greatest ROI isn't what you make in 1 year, it's what you build over a lifetime. And when you chase money blindly, you never stop long enough to plant the seeds. You're too busy grabbing at fruit that's not even ripe yet. And that's why you stay hungry. That's why you stay unsatisfied. Because you never gave yourself the patience to let something grow. And here's another hook. When you play only for money, you make desperate moves. You cut corners. You take jobs or deals that don't align with your values. You burn bridges because you're thinking about the check in front of you, not the relationship that could have been worth 100 checks in the future. Chasing money makes you reactive, not strategic. It puts you in a constant cycle of survival instead of positioning you for legacy. And legacy is the only thing that outlives the bank balance. I need you to understand this. Money is not the finish line, it's just a mile marker. And if you run your life like every mile marker is the end, you'll never finish the race. You'll quit too early. You'll celebrate too soon. You'll stop building. That's why you see people make fast money and then lose it just as fast, because the mindset wasn't right. They were chasing, not building. They were hustling, but not with a vision. And vision is what allows you to turn money into something meaningful. So what's the shift? Stop asking, how can I make money fast? And start asking, what can I build that lasts? Stop saying, I want to be rich at 25, and start saying, I want to be free at 50. That's the mindset shift that changes everything. Because when you stop obsessing over instant results, you start making decisions that compound. You start investing in skills, in relationships, in patience, in brand, in the things that actually pay you back tenfold over time. If you're serious about winning, you've got to embrace the long game. You've got to accept that the grind isn't glamorous and the payoff isn't instant. And you've got to be willing to play it anyway, because you love the process, not just the payout. That's the real secret. The people who win aren't the ones who chase money, they're the ones who chase growth, patience, and legacy, and the money ends up chasing them. Want me to roll straight into key point 6 with the same unstoppable fire in detail? The harsh reality about chasing money is that even when you get it, you can still feel completely empty inside. People don't like to admit this because money looks like the solution to everything. And sure, it solves bills, it gives you options, it removes certain stresses, but here's the hook. It doesn't fix the hole inside of you. It doesn't heal the fact that you hate your job. It doesn't fix broken relationships. It doesn't create happiness on its own. That's why so many people hit their financial goals and still wake up depressed, anxious, or lost. They chase the wrong prize. This is the part people don't want to hear. If you're chasing money without chasing purpose, you're going to feel like you're running on a treadmill. No matter how fast you move, you never get anywhere. You'll collect paychecks, you'll upgrade your car, you'll buy a better house, but you'll still feel like something's missing. And that something is meaning. That something is the deeper why behind what you do. Money amplifies who you are. It doesn't change who you are. If you're miserable without it, you'll be miserable with it. Only now you'll be miserable in a nicer zip code. I see it all the time. People sacrifice their 20s, 30s, and 40s working jobs they hate just to buy stuff they don't even care about, just to impress people they don't even like. And the hook is this: they confuse money with fulfillment. They think the next bonus, the next raise, the next deal will finally make them happy. But the truth is, happiness doesn't come from chasing money. It comes from chasing passion, growth, impact. It comes from waking up every day and actually loving the process you're in. That's why so many wealthy people still feel lost. Because they got the money but never figured out what they truly value. Here's where it gets real. You can't buy passion. You can't swipe your credit card for fulfillment. You can't order purpose off Amazon Prime. Those things come from within, from knowing yourself, from building a life that actually aligns with your values. And that's the uncomfortable part. You've got to stop lying to yourself. You've got to stop pretending that if you just grind a little harder for money, everything else will magically fall into place. Because it won't. Money is fuel, but if your engine is broken, the fuel won't take you anywhere. So the question becomes, what are you really chasing? Because if you're chasing money, you're chasing the surface level game. But if you're chasing purpose, you're building a foundation that money can sit on. Purpose gives money meaning. Without it, you're just stacking numbers in a bank account that don't change your actual life. With it, every dollar becomes a tool, a resource, a way to amplify what you care about most. That's the shift that turns money from something empty into something powerful. Here's the hook you can't ignore if you want to feel unstoppable. Don't chase money, chase alignment. Chase the thing that lights you up so much you do it for free. Because when you do that, the money will follow anyway. And even if it doesn't come at the speed you want, you'll still win because you're living a life you don't need to escape from. Too many people are stacking cash while secretly counting the days to retirement. That's not winning. That's survival with a paycheck. Winning is building a life you never want to retire from. Let me hit you with this. Money magnifies your truth. If you're insecure, money makes you more insecure. If you're generous, money makes you more generous. If you're lost, money makes you feel even more lost. So instead of obsessing over the dollar signs, start obsessing over who you're becoming. Because when you build yourself, The money doesn't control you, you control the money. That's where the real freedom lies. And I'll tell you this straight, nobody remembers you for your bank account. Nobody writes on your tombstone how much money you made. They remember the impact, the energy, the love, the contribution. That's why chasing money alone is a losing game. It ends at zero. But chasing purpose creates ripples that outlive you. And that, my friends, is the only way to feel unstoppable. So here's the reality check. Stop chasing money like it's the prize. Build something you love so much that you do it for free. Build skills so valuable the world can't ignore you. Build a life you don't need to escape from. Do that, and not only will the money show up, it won't own you when it does. Because the harsh reality is this money is a tool, not the trophy. And if you can understand that now, you'll win forever.